Let's bring in our next guest to talk about this and some of the issues that Donald Trump faces created by this outgoing administration. We have former U.S. military representative to NATO and Newsmax contributor, Brigadier General Blaine Holt. Good to see you, Blaine.
Good to see you.
All right, we'll talk about some of the picks here. Obviously, Elise Stefanik, we know as the ambassador to the United Nations, she may also tackle UNRWA, which has, had issues where it's the money going in, maybe helping, literally funding terrorists. You talk about Brian Hook, putting maximum pressure on Iran, that this administration clearly not only didn't, but dating back to Obama, has enriched them.
Yeah, it's a tangled foreign policy mess. Elise Stefanik is going to step into the role of ambassador. She's going to thrive in this environment. I am just so optimistic about what lays in front of her in terms of not just dealing with UNRWA, dealing with Iran and China and all of these issues, but also internally at the UN, at the WHO, getting to the bottom of COVID issues. Trying to push back on any of this nonsense about entering into a treaty that yields United States sovereignty. She's going to excel in this role greatly. I'm so excited that she's going to do that.
All right, Stephen Miller is in. Tom Homan is in. Tom may be overseeing, believed, all the deportations. And, we're talking about people from all over the world, including people that even Ray admits Hezbollah has capabilities. So this is a priority, as it should be, if you want to have national security and people not have known terrorists. So tell us a little bit about what you think Homan adds. And Fred Fleitz, thank you for joining us as well. I'll let you pick it up after. But Blaine, what do you think of this new Tom Homan and really what he's going to be able to do now?
Tom's a tough guy. He is a very clear-eyed, mission-focused leader, and he's going to excel at this. This is the common denominator of the now assembling Trump team. Alignment of purpose, alignment of vision under President Trump's leadership. It's going to be a very different look this time around, and they know where they're going to go. Now, Homan is going to be leading a multi-layered whole-of-government approach. He can't do it by himself. He's going to need all elements of government to achieve this, whether it's carrots or sticks on these deportations. Yeah. And again, just perfect choice.
Former CIA analyst and former NSC chief of staff in the Trump administration, Fred Fleitz. Fred, I know you probably have a lot of thoughts on the deportation. I want to play just a little bit of Homan talking to 60 Minutes about, the realities of what, open borders has caused and what now needs to happen, and that Americans, we know, support this as well, according to polling.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is it worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
I love Tom Homan. I think he's a great pick, Fred. No nonsense. But what he has seen at the border, and I've heard him speak and met him when he talks about the children being trafficked, his heart is in such a good place for not just this country, but also just after what he's seen, the blood on the hands of these cartels. He knows what he's doing, and he's going to do it.
Well, I saw a tweet a little while ago by some Democrat who was very unhappy that Trump won. And she said, maybe you thought Trump wasn't serious about moving on the border. Well, with Homan, I see that he is. I think that's obviously clear. And I'd also note that it's significant that Trump is naming a real border czar, not a pretend border czar, which Kamala Harris, a position she had, did nothing with. And I like the fact that we're doing this before the Homeland Security Secretary is named. I'm sure that's going to be a great person. I have some candidates in mind. This just shows that Trump is going to put a lot of energy and muscle on this issue. It's very serious to him. It's going to be a whole of government attempt, and it's not an accident this was announced so early in the transition.
Chad Wolf might be one of the candidates. I know you work with him at America First Policy
He's my
Institute.
favorite candidate, I might add.
And he's coming up with us in just a few minutes, so we'll discuss that with him, Fred. We have a couple minutes left. I want to talk about this call that may not have happened, may have happened. All right, so Putin and Trump, WAPO, Washington Post, and Reuters said it happened. a spokesperson for Trump saying we will not confirm or deny this. And then the Kremlin says, no, it's pure fiction. But we know that Donald Trump has pledged to end this war in 24 hours. And whether or not that can be done, we'll see. But Zelensky was on a call. We know this with Elon Musk and Trump last week. I'll let you both weigh in. First to you, Blaine.
Yeah, he's going to be involved. Has he been involved yet, Vladimir Putin? No, but President Trump understands that to get this thing done in Europe, it's going to involve Moscow, unlike previous attempts where we have a big Swiss thing going on and one of the belligerents isn't even present. But there's many demilitarized steps that can be taken to off-ramp this war, and I believe that they're architecting that right now. In fact, I know they are.
Fred, the legacy media and the left to try to, demonize Donald Trump when he has, relationships with our adversaries as if it's a bad thing to have dialogues. I think part of that, too, is with Putin, where they wanted to, obviously make this something. But here we have a conflict that he could be really putting in some inroads. And if anyone could end it, many people say Donald Trump is the person to do it.
Joe Biden demonized Putin so much, he called him a war criminal, likened him to Hamas to such an extent that it was impossible for the President of the United States to speak to the President of Russia. And he hasn't spoken to him since February 2022. This was national security malpractice. These nations have the largest nuclear arsenals on Earth, and the U.S. and Russian presidents can't talk.
Yeah.
This is one of the best signs we're going to see a transformation of American foreign policy. That Trump's making it clear, I'm going to speak to Putin, and I'm going to tell him we have to end this war in Ukraine. Hooray.
Yeah, there you have it. Blaine, I'd just like to thank you for all your service to our nation. And just tell us what Veterans Day means to you personally.
It's the men and women I served with in the mission, and it's whether times were good or times were bad, they always took their oath to the Constitution and their duties seriously, and I'm really looking forward to a military that gets back to mission focus, devotion to duty and the Constitution, and it's just a great time to watch this Veterans Day play out as it does in this political season.
Absolutely. Fred, final thoughts. Donald Trump has said he wants to get rid of woke, weak generals and effective leaders. As this report, CNN says some of the Pentagon are already kind of talking about what Trump 47 may look like, some resistance. Are you concerned at all with what he may be having to contend with, even with a mandate, even with a trifecta?
Wokeism and DEI are really deeply dug into the government right now. But there's some very smart people who have been working for a long time to come up with some strategies to help President Trump fix our government, fix our national security infrastructure. And I know they're just dying to get to work.
Well, it's going to be here before we know it. Fred Fleiss, Brigadier General Blaine Holt, thank you, guys. Great to have you both with us today.
Take care.